On the last day of February 1989, in a small village in Fukushima Prefecture, a 23-year-old female elementary school teacher finished work around 5:10 p.m. She then headed to the faculty dormitory adjacent to the school to use the restroom. As she glanced into the toilet pit, something caught her attention. A shoe, oddly out of place. Curious, she leaned in for a closer look and was confronted with an unimaginable sight lurking behind it. A human head. Shocked, she rushed to the access hatch behind the house, where the usually closed cover had been removed. With growing dread, she peered inside and saw what unmistakably appeared to be a human foot. Realizing there was someone inside, she quickly called a nearby colleague and reported the discovery to the police. A nearby officer quickly arrived on the scene, but recognizing the complexity of the situation, he promptly called for additional officers and firefighters to assist. Upon inspection, they found a partially undressed man with his upper body exposed, tightly wedged inside the narrow pit, as if he had been forcibly packed into the space. Despite the officers' combined efforts, they were unable to pull him out. In the end, they had to resort to heavy machinery, digging up the pit to finally extract the body. The man was already deceased, his body stiff with rigor mortis. He had been found clutching his jacket to his chest, knees bent, and his head tilted to the left. Covered in waste, the body was washed down on the spot and later cleaned again at a nearby fire station. A subsequent autopsy revealed that he had died from asphyxiation due to the pressure of the confined space, coupled with hypothermia from the freezing winter temperatures. Based on the state of rigor mortis, the man's time of death was estimated to be around February 26th, 2 days before his body was discovered. Noting the lack of significant external injuries, aside from minor abrasions on the elbows and knees, and the absence of any signs of struggle, the police quickly concluded that the man had entered the pit with the intent of peeping and lost his life in the process. However, as the details of the incident came to light, numerous puzzling aspects emerged that could not possibly be explained as just a simple case of peeping. When the body was identified as Naoyuki Kanno, who lived just a 10-minute drive from the scene, the incident became one of the most mysterious and perplexing unexplained deaths in Japan's history. Kanno, 26 at the time of his death, lived with his parents and grandmother in their village, forming a close-knit family of 4. He was known for his love of music and sports and was highly regarded both personally and professionally. As a sales manager for a company specializing in the maintenance and inspection of nuclear power plants, his strong sense of duty and affable nature earned him deep respect from colleagues and locals alike. Kanno also served as the recreation director for the village's youth association and was often entrusted with hosting local weddings. His positive reputation extended to village affairs, where he was frequently invited to support campaign speeches, further solidifying his role as an influential figure in the community. Though Kanno wasn't in a serious romantic relationship at the time, he was often pursued by women and considered one of the village's most desirable bachelors. He had been missing since February 24th, 4 days before his body was discovered. On the evening of February 23rd, Kanno attended a farewell party for a senior colleague at a restaurant near his home, leaving the establishment by car around 1:30 a.m. on February 24th. Later that morning, at approximately 10 a.m., his father heard Kanno's voice through the gap of a door between the living room and the hallway, saying, "I'm heading out for a bit." That was the last time his family heard from him. Growing increasingly concerned, his family eventually filed a missing person report. The estimated time of death, placed around February 26th, indicated that Kanno had been alive for nearly 2 days after he was last seen. This unsettling timeline raised troubling questions about his final days, where he went, what he might have experienced, and whom he encountered before his death. When his body was discovered on February 28th, authorities also found his Toyota Crown abandoned nearby. The car had been carelessly left with the keys still in the ignition, as if he had departed in a hurry. Inside, it was completely empty, with no personal belongings, suggesting that the car was never intended to remain there for long. A television program later conducted an experiment to determine if entry through the hatch was even feasible. A staff member of nearly identical height and slightly lighter weight than Kanno attempted to enter the hatch but got stuck halfway, unable to proceed. Authorities also considered the possibility of entry through the toilet inside the house, but that opening measured only 20 centimeters, about 7.8 inches in diameter, making it physically impossible for anyone to pass through. Curiously, one of Kanno's shoes was found near his face inside the pit, while the other was discovered some distance away in a nearby field. If Kanno had entered the pit with the intent of peeping, why would he have done so with one shoe missing? And how did the other shoe end up near his face inside the pit? The day before the incident, the village had experienced 20 centimeters or about 7.8 inches of snowfall, and on the day of the discovery, temperatures hovered around freezing. Yet, Kanno's body was found with his upper body exposed. Who would risk their life in such extreme cold to climb into a waste-filled pit for the purpose of peeping? Even if the body was soiled, cleaning it before forensic examination or autopsy is highly irregular from an investigative standpoint, casting suspicion on potential evidence tampering, possibly with police involvement. On the day Kanno allegedly entered the pit, the female teacher was on vacation at her family home. Given that Kanno knew her through her boyfriend, he may have been aware she was away, casting doubt on the police's theory about his true motive. Adding to the mystery, a former village resident recently testified that certain details reported about the incident differ from the actual events. While media reports claim that the female teacher was the first to find the body, it was actually a young student who made the initial discovery while playing near a manhole connected to the pit. Some accounts suggest that the teacher harbored a one-sided infatuation with the deceased man and displayed an unusual obsession with him. She moved away from the village soon after the incident, and notably, her father held a high-ranking position in the police force. The strange and unsettling circumstances surrounding Kanno's death have ignited suspicions of a cover-up involving the powerful nexus of Fukushima's nuclear industry and local politics. This small village was economically dependent on the nearby Fukushima Daiichi and Daini nuclear power plants, with nuclear-related jobs providing vital income to the community. Kanno himself worked for a company responsible for the Fukushima Daini plant, granting him first-hand insight into both the benefits and potential secrets of the nuclear industry. These connections have fueled speculation that his death may be tied to hidden, more sinister forces operating within the region. Just 2 months before Kanno's death, a significant accident occurred at the Fukushima Daini plant's Unit 3 reactor. Despite multiple alarms sounding in late 1988, the plant continued its operations until a malfunctioning reactor pump caused metal fragments to spill into the core, necessitating a long shutdown. Shockingly, only 2 days prior to the accident, the reactor's supervisor, who was also Kanno's colleague, took his own life at Ueno Station after being held solely responsible for the oversight. Some speculate that Kanno, disturbed by his colleague's fate, uncovered the truth behind the incident and planned to reveal it to clear his friend's name. Meanwhile, a fierce mayoral election was underway in the village, creating a stark divide between pro-nuclear and anti-nuclear candidates. Kanno initially supported the pro-nuclear incumbent, even delivering speeches on his behalf. However, it was later revealed that approximately 80 million yen, about $520,000 in bribes, had allegedly been funneled into the election, reportedly originating from the company Kanno worked for. Upon learning of this corruption, Kanno became disillusioned with the campaign and withdrew his support. Given his popularity and influence in the community, his shift could have swayed critical votes, potentially altering the election's outcome in the small village. Rumors suggest that influential figures within the nuclear sector, aware of Kanno's intent to reveal both the truth behind the plant accident and the financial corruption in the election, saw him as a serious threat. The disturbing circumstances of his death have fueled speculation that it was intended as a warning, a chilling message to silence others who might challenge the industry's power. Expose the truth and you'll suffer the same fate. Despite numerous unresolved details, the police swiftly ruled the incident an accident. In response, over 4,300 signatures were collected in less than a month, petitioning for a thorough reinvestigation. Despite the fact that the village's population was only around 3,800 people, However, the police remain steadfast in their refusal to reopen the case. Even now, the incident remains shrouded in mystery, attracting constant speculation. Many journalists have visited the village in pursuit of the truth, yet the villagers adamantly refuse to discuss it, as if bound by an unspoken secret that must never be revealed. This silence only deepens the intrigue surrounding Kanno's death, leaving many questions unanswered and fueling ongoing theories about what really happened.